Friends, the battle against the deep state is just starting to heat up. It is not just a United States thing, it is a global thing. We're going to be talking about some of the outrages that we've just been seeing just in the last couple of days. It's kind of an eclectic number of craziness. We're going to talk about a lady in Texas who was arrested and is facing 20 years in prison because they didn't like her chickens. They came in and murdered her pets, just like Peanut, right? We're going to talk about the UK, where their criminal system is going after social media posters, and I'm going to show you some of the people, murderers, who are being let go for less prison term than people being sent to prison for social media posts. We're going to talk about what's happening over in Germany a little bit, because what's happening there is absolutely insane. People are being threatened with prison if they do not denounce a political party. This is absolutely insane. And we have over in Brazil, the ex-president Bolsonaro is facing his third wave of criminal indictments based on they just haven't taken him out politically yet, and they're going after him again. Friends, what we have going on in the United States with the political prosecution of Donald Trump and all of the insaneness of the outrages that we have going on in the United States is not just about the U.S. It is about the globalists trying to change the entire world and turn the world into this chaos so that we fear our governments. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are news stories that you're not going to hear out there in the mainstream media. You're not going to hear about Jennifer Mayo of Texas, who is facing 20 years in prison. Who did she kill? Nobody. She actually tried to follow the law, apparently, all along the way. She declared things in customs, and they said it was fine, and now they're saying it's not fine. Her home. Let's start there. Jennifer Mayo of Texas. She, on a trip to Vietnam, saw some chickens and said, wow, those are really crazy looking chickens. I'd like to have them. I wonder if I can get them back into the United States. Now, did she smuggle them and pretend that they were chocolate eggs or something like that? No. She declared them to the customs officer. The customs officer said, what type of eggs are these? And she said, chicken eggs. And they said, okay. And they let her take them in. Customs officer said it was okay. But then, several years later, here we are with 40 federal officers, 2 U.S. Marshals, in SWAT gear, kicking in her front door, kicking in all the doors of the house, dragging out a tenant that she had there, forcing the tenant in their underwear to be handcuffed outside for 2 hours. There's no weapons. There's no threat here. What is going on? Well, she had 30, 40 some chickens that were different than American chickens. Even though she brought them through customs, even though the customs officer said it was okay, suddenly you have another branch of the government saying, no, it's not okay. Not okay. In fact, it's so not okay, we're going to point guns at you, threaten to shoot you, and they then came in and then they killed all the chickens. All her pets. Just like in the Peanut incident, except this time they actually went out there and murdered them themselves. They asked for her consent to kill the chickens, and she did not give her consent, and they said, we're going to do it anyway. And they went ahead and did that. She's now being charged with crimes that could lead her to be in prison for 20 years, friends. 20 years. That's basically what the murderer, the illegal murderer of Lakeland Riley is going to get. This woman's crimes in the United States government's eyes are just as bad as what he did, this illegal alien. Do you see how that is so skewed and out of whack and just insane? And it's not just here in the United States. We go over to the UK and we see very similar insanity. Dozens and dozens of people sent to prison over social... And when you hear what else the UK is doing, this will make your blood boil. If you happen to fly through the UK, you're going to need to know this. But before we get there, dozens and dozens of people sent to prison over social media posts or liking posts, some of them making just a little comment underneath somebody else's post. This is sending them, many of them being charged with crimes leading up to a 20-month prison sentence. 20 months, basically 2 years. Some of them being charged with a little longer. Some of them as young as, I believe the youngest was 12 years old. Sentenced to prison. A man who macheted to death a teen was just released after 6 months in prison in the UK. A teenager was killed with a machete, and that man is being released after 6 months. But he's a migrant, so it's okay. You seeing these outrages one after the next. You and I are being terrorized by our governments in order to get us to stop asking questions, to just let them do whatever they want to do because we're afraid of them. That maybe they're going to see that our licensing for our business is not up to snuff, that maybe we don't have the right insurance coverage, and suddenly we're looking at years in jail. And then we see other people like Jesse Smollett, right? He tried to get other people sent to jail. He created this hate crime hoax in order to boost his career. He's getting 0 jail time. People who are doing malicious things, people who are generating chaos and causing physical harm and physical damage to properties and structures and people are getting off with absolutely no jail time, being released for free. How many cities in California, how many places in Chicago, New York, where people are allowed to steal as much as they want to up to certain limits, and no arrests, no crime is being reported, no indictments. All right, so this one here out of the UK. They have just determined, they're British Transport Police, which is their equivalent of the TSA, right? And just about as ridiculous. The British Transport Police are now going to assign strip search agents based on their declared gender. Let me put this another way. Women who are ordered to receive a strip search will now have biological men, potentially, assigned to conduct those strip searches. And who's deciding whether strip searches are necessary? Well, the people that conduct the strip searches. So, as one retired police superintendent called it, state-sponsored assault. Friends, I posted this over on my Twitter account, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say these things, but AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was out there saying that we know that men do not, talking about the Capitol Hill bathroom battle, we know that men don't dress up in dresses in order to assault women. And I responded back because, I don't know, I'm a crazy person who actually researches stuff, who actually looks up the information. A study out of the UK using Swedish prison data and other prison data found that that men identifying as women in prison were 20 times as likely as the women in there to be in there for sexual offender crimes. Okay? 20 times more likely. So, if you want to tell me that there is nothing to worry about, knowing that these people coming into your restroom are 20 times more likely to be a sexual offender than other people, than the other people in your bathroom. I think there's a reason why women should be concerned about that. Not just the fact that these are, in fact, men, but then in addition to that they are 20 times more likely than the women in their bathroom to be sexual offenders. Now, I'm not saying that you should prejudge people. I'm not saying that you should treat all people, but you do need to be aware. And if you go into a part of the city where you're 20 times more likely to get mugged, I think you should be paying attention. You should be aware. You should be taking precautions. If you go to the store, and this store, you're X% chance that you might get mugged or robbed, and then you go to another place 20 times more likely, I think that you should feel a little more on edge. I think that you should be more prepared, and I think that you should treat the situation differently. And that is where we find ourselves. Let's go over to Germany. Germany, I've been talking about this a little bit, but this is moving forward at a fast pace and it looks like it's going to happen. 18% of the German population is polling in favor of the AfD party, the alternative for Deutschland or Denmark, Germany, right? The alternative for Germany, AfD party. This is a party. This is not like a club. This is not some social thing. This is a political party like the Republicans or Democrats, okay? And they are going to ban the AfD. They're going to ban them from public offices. They're going to ban people from voting for them. They're going to ban them for being on the ballots. Now, if that doesn't sound sort of like what the short man with the mustache was doing back in the 1940s and 1930s, I don't know what does. This is a serious, serious breach. And not only that, but we just got new word today. We're being told that that's going to come through. The ruling party over there is saying it's going to happen before they adjourn. Before the election, they're going to ban the AfD party from being part of the election. That's the second largest party. That's the second most popular party in Germany they're going to ban. It's like if Donald Trump got into office and then basically banned the Democrats from running for office and basically take all the seats away from the Democrats and say, the Democrats, they're hate-filled people, and so therefore we're just going to not let them run for office. Do you see how that would be a problem and slightly anti-democratic? Slightly anti-democratic. Not only that, but the German Lutheran Church, yes, this basically the state church. It's not the state church, but it's the most popular church over there, denomination, has banned AfD members from sitting on any committee appointments. So if you want to be a participant in your local church, you want to sit on committees about, making food or taking care of the poor. If you want to sit on one of those committees, well, you're not allowed to if you are a member of the AfD party. Again, I want you just to substitute Democrats or Republicans in that category for you to understand how insane this is. Can you imagine a church doing that? Where a church is like, and this is not just a church, this is like a denomination. They're going to say that nobody can actually serve in our churches if they are a Democrat because they're that evil. And I'm flipping the script around on you just so you can see how insane this is. Maybe some of you are like, that makes sense. That kind of actually makes sense. Given what they've done to us, maybe that makes sense. And then moving down to Brazil for some more outrages. This is, and I want you to hear some of these examples in the UK, in Germany, in Brazil. I want you to hear where we could have gone had the election gone differently. Where we could still go if we lose control of things. In Brazil, they just indicted the ex-president Bolsonaro. I'm having trouble pronouncing his name, of course, because I don't speak Portuguese, for planning a violent coup. Now, he's already been charged for this. He's already been charged this and that. They're saying now that they have evidence that that he was part of a conspiracy to poison the current president. Now, this is a guy who has been stabbed by his opposition. Like, they actually got a guy into one of his rallies, came up to him and stabbed him. He survived that. This is the third round of political motivated charges being brought against him. He's already been banned from running for office until 2030. They removed him from the ability to run for office, and then he's still very popular. They made it so he couldn't talk. He's not allowed to talk via phone or in person with the head of his party, his political party. This is political hatchet jobs being done against him. Now, I don't know all the evidence. I don't have the wiretaps. I don't have all the nefariously gained information that these security services have. And it may be legitimate. It may not. I don't know. But what I do know is when I see a country going after somebody like this, it's hard not to see them as the victim. Because it's just one thing after the next coming after them. And they always seem to hide all the evidence. It's like, yeah, we have evidence. We're not going to show it to you, but we have evidence that this guy did something bad. And the charges keep getting more and more outrageous, more insane sounding, so that people will be like, I can't defend him, because he tried to poison the president. One, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He was extremely popular, and then when he lost the election, supposedly, with a vast amount of cheating, a vast amount of nefarious things happening, his supporters were being attacked in the polls. They were trying to vote, and at certain polling stations, the opposition actually sent people in with sticks to beat them, to chase them away, to threaten them. If they came back to try to vote today, that they would be beaten, that they would actually go to their families. And so when you see that happening, you see this, and those people never were charged, right? Nobody ever got arrested for that. But you see these attacks happening on voters that the government seemed to run cover for. The deep state in Brazil protected them on these attacks. And so his supporters being attacked in the polls, him being almost assassinated, you see just one thing after the next. You see the deep state, the Supreme Court there, doing ruling after ruling after ruling against him. And you see that that Supreme Court making all these rulings in support of the globalist state. Friends, I look at that and I see exactly where we would have gone as the United States if Donald Trump hadn't been able to get those people onto the Supreme Court that he did. I'm not saying they're the best people in the world. Man, next time around, Ted Cruz needs to go on the Supreme Court. Or Matt Gaetz. Go for Matt Gaetz. I wouldn't say Matt Gaetz would be the best option for that, but Ted Cruz for sure. Rand Paul for sure. Someone else along those lines. Someone who's actually going to walk straight down the line of conservatism and libertarianism and get the government out of our lives. Anyway, if he hadn't gotten people on the Supreme Court to protect the rule of law in the United States, we would have gone those same paths. And it's scary. And if we're not careful, we will still go down those paths. But right now, we're becoming a beacon of freedom and potential protection for those who are going to be politically persecuted in Germany, those who are already being politically persecuted in the UK. We need to start giving refugee asylum status for people leaving Germany and some of these European countries like the UK. People fleeing from Brazil who want rule of law and want freedom. They should be welcomed with open arms. People fleeing fleeing Venezuela because they're part of a gang and they were imprisoned down there for murder. We should not be welcoming them. They should be deported. This is absolutely insane what's happening out there in the world. People who cannot learn, people who allow their governments to do these things to other people are going to learn the hard way that the government will eventually do it to them as well. All right, friends, we're going to keep protecting freedom and keep educating people about what's going on out there so that it doesn't ever happen here. All right, friends, thanks so much for being a part of what we got going on here. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. You can just tap right on the screen and go straight to it. It's usually the latest video. That's one way that you can get to the latest video because that's right there for your convenience. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.